What is up guys, so today for this video we're going to be doing a ranking video. We'll be looking at all of the characters in Star Wars Battlefront 2, starting from the worst, working our way up straight up to the best. So bear in mind this is my personal opinion on who I think are the best characters in this game. We're going to be working our way up from the bottom all the way up to the top. Like I'm taking into consideration, one thing that I'm trying to do for the series especially, I'm looking at how useful is a hero going to be. Like say if you're a new player and you step into the game, let's just say you pick the game for the first time, how easy is it for you to actually learn how to play this character, their abilities, learn their strengths and their weaknesses. So I'm trying to take those things into consideration. So I hope that you guys definitely do enjoy this video. So we're going to get into the next one, so let's get started. So coming in at number 22 is BB-9E. This is a character where I don't really see much use for unless you generally just want to have fun in the game, maybe in co-op, maybe in heroes versus villains, maybe you just want to play around in supremacy. He does remind me of Palpatine a little bit because he kind of is like a little Palpatine. Like his basic attack does electrify enemies, so it's kind of really fun to just go up to enemies and just zap them and hopefully get some kills with him. But his ability is mainly supportive, as he does fit that support role of a hero. And I think the best thing about BB-9E is that he's just generally fun to play. However, compared to a lot of other heroes, he isn't really my first choice, and I don't think he would be a lot of first choice for other players as well. So coming in at number 22, we've got BB-9E. So number 21 on this list is BB-8, giving this spot to another droid. BB-8, he's a fun character, same as BB-9E, he's fun to play as. His middle ability does really good damage, especially if you get in behind a group of enemies and you're able to use his middle ability. You will rack up some really good kills with BB-8. He is very strong. Unfortunately, compared to BB-9E, his shock ability, which is basically his basic attack, it doesn't stun enemies like BB-9E does, which is very unfortunate. However, at the same time, BB-8, he does respectable damage, but at the same time, he's not really a hero that you're going to jump to use. Like when you get 4,000 battle points, your first reaction isn't going to be to get BB-8. He's a fun character, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that he really deserves to be higher on this list. So BB-8, number 21. Number 20 on this list is Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma, she's an alright hero, I guess. Her blaster is really weak, unfortunately. Like it literally is like a pea shooter. It doesn't really do damage that much. Like the DPS per second isn't really the highest, unfortunately. One good thing about Phasma is her droid. It does stun enemies whenever they're in range, so that is very good, because if you're playing, let's say you're holding down an objective as an example, if you go in, you can put the droid down and then you'll be able to actually hold that objective off based on your enemies being stunned. So in a way, it is very good. However, at the same time, a lot of players, they just kind of camp with that droid, unfortunately, when they're playing Phasma, and it just gives you like a really bad playstyle with Phasma. You're not really engaging in fights that much. Like I said, her blaster is not the best in terms of damage, and I don't really think a lot of people actually go out to use Phasma. She is fun to play as well also, but at the same time, she's not really someone that you would be rushing to get, if that makes sense. So number 20, Captain Phasma. So taking number 19 on my list is Finn. He's a good character, mainly supportive at the same time, as he does give a lot of buffs in terms of like damage reduction to his teammates. He is really fun. Let's just say an example that you're playing on the throne room on Naboo and you're in the last phase, you can use his middle ability and you can give your teammates a lot of damage reduction, and damage reduction in this game is really good. His Deadeye ability is probably his best ability, as it auto locks onto enemies that are in front of him, and there are star cards actually enhance how much damage he actually does with his Deadeye, and also when he gets kills with his Deadeye, it extends the duration of it, which is really good. So Finn as a character, his Deadeye, as I mentioned, is his best ability, and his blaster, it does really good respectable damage as well. But just in general, he doesn't really have like much defense compared to other blaster heroes, and he kind of struggles a bit, especially when going up against saber characters. So number 19 on this list, I think this deservingly, I gave it to Finn. Number 18 on this list is Chewbacca, or Chewie as you may call him. So for Chewie, I'm looking at some of his abilities, and he, as a character, he's very tanky, and he's got one thing going for him. And one thing about him as well is that his shock grenade, you can throw a shock grenade down, you can run into a room full of enemies, use your ground slam ability, rack up some kills, back out, then use your furious bowcaster ability and get some damage in as well, so that you can get more kills as well. But at the same time, Chewie, his damage does fall off, especially at longer ranges, compared to where like someone like Finn, that's obviously on the list, he can actually shoot at greater ranges and also have like do respectable damage as well. So taking number 17 on this list, we've got Boba Fett. He's a very versatile character, as he's the only character in the game that has a jetpack, so therefore he can, hover around the map, and he can actually, scout enemies so that he can actually gain kills from a distance. His blaster does respectable damage, especially from a distance as well. The drop off rate isn't too bad, and I think new players as well, like if they were to come to the game and pick up Boba Fett, they would realize that he is fairly easy to play, so that's one thing I am taking in consideration as well. His abilities, his Rocket Barrage ability is probably the best ability that he has in his kit, as when you actually get the ability up, you can go in and actually just rain fire down on your enemies, and it's really good. His Concussion Rocket, situationally useful, depending on what star card you have. If you have the one that actually disables blasters so that they're overheated and everything. But at the same time, I think Boba Fett is a cool character. He's enjoyable to play. He's got a lot of downsides, unfortunately, whereas like if anyone has any type of explosive rounds and you're shooting Boba Fett, he would be knocked out of the sky like continuously while receiving damage. So unfortunately he's got that downside, but he's on this list as number 17. Number 16, we've got the bounty hunter himself, Bosk. He's fun to play as. One thing I do like about Bosk personally is that he's a very fun character in regards to his abilities. All of his abilities you can actually have a lot of fun with, especially his middle ability. The more kills you rack up and everything with it, depending on if the star code that you have actually allows you to do so, then you'll be able to get more kills and actually extend his duration and everything, which is really, really good. He himself as a character, he does have some downsides. Like, I'm not really a big fan of his blaster in general. It is a sniper rifle, but in the same time you have to kind of like charge it up, and sometimes that could actually cost you like your life, especially since when you actually charge up, especially with the scope, you don't actually see your HP bar, so you could be getting damage from a distance, and when you're actually using this scope ability to like zoom in on your enemies, you won't actually be able to actually tell what damage you're receiving, therefore that can result in an early death for you. But when Bosk has his abilities, his Deoxys grenade, and he's got his mines up, he's a very, very strong character at either pushing an objective or actually defending the objective. So number 16 on this list, Bosk. Well said, Lando. As you guys have heard it first, Lando comes in at number 15. Really, really good character. I like Lando. He's fun to play as, and his shock grenade, it's really, really good, especially when you're going up against saber wielders, maybe in heroes versus villains. Put down the shock grenade, stun them, and then you're actually able to go in and do some damage to them for the duration of while they're stunned. His middle ability, the sharp ability, is really, really good. I can't stress this enough, especially in bigger game modes like Galactic Assault. Especially if you've got a group of enemies lined up and you actually use that middle ability, you can rack up some really, really good kills with it. So Lando, really, really good character. His blaster, unfortunately, at long distances isn't the greatest. It is a sniper rifle, but at the same time it just doesn't do a lot of damage at longer distances. For some reason the damage when it's like at a certain distance, it's not really the highest, but at close range, Lando is really, really cool. So number 15, Lando Calrissian. Taking the number 14 spot, we have Leia Organa herself. Both of her blasters, her regular blaster and her E11 blaster, when you whip out the middle ability, both do really, really good damage. I think most of the damage does come from the E11. Leia as a character, she's very, very supportive, and she can actually hold her own as well, especially with the new update which actually replaced her grenade. So now she has thermal imploded grenades. Before it was just a flashbang ability, which really wasn't helpful in any specific way, but now with the new change and she has new grenades, Leia is a force to be reckoned with. On some maps, depending on what you're playing as, an example of this could be maybe Hoth, maybe Kashyyyk and stuff, a secondary fire rate, it can be used as like a little sniper shot where he actually homes onto enemies, so it's kind of fun sometimes to snipe across the map with Leia. And also her shield ability, it's really, really good because not only does it heal her when you're inside of it, but it also heals your teammates as well, which actually amplifies the role of Leia being a supportive character, whether she's defending or she's attacking. So taking number 14 on this list, Princess Leia. Representing Inferno Squad, on number 13 on this list, we have Idon Versio herself. She's a very good character. Situationally useful on a lot of different maps. She struggles against saber wielders if her shock ability isn't up. Unfortunately, she does have a lot of downsides, but at the same time, she does have her good sides. One thing about Idon as well is that her secondary fire, which actually just spams blue balls, as she kind of has become like a little bit of a meme, and just spamming blue balls across the map and everything. it does do a lot of damage, especially splash damage as well. Idon, she can hold her own, especially when she's got a shock ability up. Her droid shield, situationally useful. Sometimes you might be taking some damage and you just want to back out just for a second but not receive any damage. You can just hit that ability, put the droid shield up, run back, regain some health, and then go back into the fight again. So number 13 on this list, decided to give it to Idon. So for number 12 on this list, I decided to give it to Master Yoda, or Grandmaster Yoda, whichever one you may want to call him. So Yoda, when it comes to saber wielders, he has the slowest swing speed, unfortunately. Like, his swing speed compared to the other saber wielders, it's really slow. However, Yoda, he's a very good supportive character. His middle ability, which actually gives health regen, is really good because it's really good in a lot of situations. As an example, let's just say that you're going up against other saber wielders. Let's say you're going up against maybe Kylo or Vader and they've actually frozen you. If you use his middle ability, it will unfreeze you. Yoda in general, especially with his Force Unleashed ability, it's really good, as you know, when you're taking blaster bolts or blaster shots, whichever one you want to call it, you can actually just charge it up all the way and then use the ability and you should be able to rack up some kills. Sometimes it does glitch out, unfortunately, as to why Yoda is lower on my list, because sometimes his abilities, for some reason, they just don't decide to work. So in terms of consistency, Yoda, he's not really the best, unfortunately, compared to other saber wielders and their force ability powers. So number 12 on this list, Master Yoda. Number 11 on this list, we have Han Solo. So I decided to give Han Solo number 11 because as a veteran player who's been playing this game since, you know, the early stages of Battlefront, you kind of come to learn, like, you know, the ins and outs of certain heroes. And Han, he's one character who I've realized he has the highest damage output in terms of blaster heroes. His damage for his blaster is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it is so good. Han can literally snipe because the reticle of his blaster, it kind of has like a little circle which actually allows you to snipe across the map if you wanted to, or you can actually gain those really good headshots on your enemies. His detonate charge, one of the best abilities in this game. You can either throw it and detonate it, or you can actually just throw it and then just let it sit on the ground for a little while, wait till enemies come, and then decide to blow it up. It all depends on how your playstyle is with Han. But Han, in general, he's so good. Not as tanky as Chewbacca, unfortunately, when it comes to blaster characters. He doesn't really take damage too well, unfortunately, but at the same time, you can use his shoulder charge ability if you need to, like, you know, zip out, just regain some health, or you can actually just go in and get some kills of your own as well. But number 11 on this list is Han Solo. Number 10 on this list, I decided to give it to General Grievous himself. He's a really good character to play. I enjoy playing as Grievous, and I think new players, especially if they come to the game, they would actually find playing General Grievous considerably easy as well to, like, master as well. One thing about him, unfortunately, one of his downsides is that he just can't really block blaster bolts for a good duration. So he might be able to block maybe 5 blaster bolts at most, and then he runs out of stamina. That's just the way he's programmed in this game. However, his Clowish ability, which is absolutely broken at the moment me making this video, you can literally double around or even triple around and actually just knock enemies over and just keep racking up damage at the same time. His middle ability, Unrelenting Advance, I think it's situationally useful. Whereas in some situations you might actually decide to just use that ability, and you know, one thing it does do, which is a positive, is that it actually deflects blaster bolts back at the opponent while using the ability. And if some saber wielders are actually stupid enough to actually go in and actually come to Grievous when he's using his Unrelenting Advance ability, he will do damage to them, and in most times he actually will kill them. So respectively, I gave General Grievous number 10 on this list. Number 9 on this list, I decided to give it to Rey. Rey is a character who I actually have a lot of fun with whenever I'm playing Heroes vs Villains, Galactic Assault, or Supremacy. I think new players can actually come to this game and they can pick up Rey and find that she is very easy to master. Her insight ability is really good, as it actually shows you your enemies are on the map and also your teammates as well. The Dash Strike ability, situationally useful in a lot of scenarios where you might actually just use this ability. An opponent, especially if you're going up against a skill opponent, they might just, you know, dodge the ability, where they can just roll and stuff. So kind of situationally useful. Her Mind Flick ability, to this day you still see people who get scared of this ability. Like, whenever you use this ability, let's just say maybe like maps like Kashyyyk, or maybe on Hoth, or maybe on Naboo and stuff, you use this ability and sometimes players, they just get scared and they end up falling off like over the cliffs or the railings or anything like that, and it's just really funny sometimes. So based on how fun she is to play and also how easy I think new players can come to this game and actually learn how to play Rey especially, I decided to just give her number 9 respectively. Taking the number 8 spot on this list is General Kenobi himself. Obi-Wan as a character, very defensive, and he also is really strong, especially like when you actually master how his abilities are and like what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses as well. I think new players can definitely come to the game because sometimes what you see new players do is that they only just hold block, and Obi-Wan as a character, because he's so defensive, he kind of fits that category where he can just hold block for a long duration of time, deflect a lot of blaster bolts back at his opponents, or block off saber wielders attacks as well. So if you're a new player, you can realize that Obi-Wan, like I mentioned, is very defensive, and he has the highest stamina in the game of any saber wielder in this game, or even of a character in general. So you can just hold block for a long duration of time and, you know, just defend off your enemies until maybe your abilities come back and you decide to actually use them and stuff. But if you become a more experienced player with Obi-Wan, you start to realize that Obi-Wan actually shines, where you can actually use his stamina reduction and also his really good impulse of stamina to his advantage. His defensive rush ability, really good as well. You can just go in and actually just fire back blaster bolts at your opponent. Mind trick ability, it actually helps you in a lot of situations, and also your teammates as well, because it actually disables the other teammates' abilities. So if you're coming up against a Vader player and, you know, they're looking to just use their choke, you can use this ability and it will shut it off completely for the duration of your mind trick ability. So number 8 on this list, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Taking the number 7 spot on this list, we have Count Dooku. So I decided to give Count Dooku the edge over Obi-Wan for this one, just because of the damage output that Count Dooku has. When it comes to saber wielders, he does extreme damage. Like, his damage is out of this world when it comes to saber wielders, especially when he uses his middle ability. This ability allows Count Dooku to do some insane damage, especially if you're a skilled player to the point where you know the ins and outs of Dooku, you know, like when to block, when to attack with him, and also landing those critical strikes. Dooku's damage is second to none in this game. His damage is absolutely ridiculous. His stamina, really good as well, and Dooku also has free dashes as well, like it comes naturally to him. He's a very good duelist, and I think a lot of experienced players as well, they might agree with me, some might disagree with me for putting Dooku on this list, but like I mentioned, it's my own opinion, and I think Count Dooku deserves the number 7 spot. Number 6 on this list, I decided to give it Darth Maul. Me personally, Maul is my favorite character to play in this game. Ever since Maul got released and I heard that, you know, he was going to be in this game, I was really excited, as I really wanted like a really good prequel character in this game. Darth Maul's ability is absolutely amazing. All 3 of his abilities, they're really good, especially in a lot of game modes like Heroes vs Villains or Galactic Assault or even Supremacy. Maul as a character in general, very quick. He is probably one of the quickest characters in this game, second just to Luke. But in general, really fun to play as. Especially if you're an experienced player with Maul, you will know for a fact that you can literally hold your own in a lot of saber fights with Maul. He has really good stamina. His speed is really good, just in case you want to like get away from your opponent to just regain your health and then go back into the fight as well. If you're playing a game mode like Galactic Assault where you're going against troopers, Maul and his ability, like his abilities are so good. Like Maul is a very balanced hero in this game. I think they did a really good job with him, and in terms of fun, I have so much fun whenever I play with Darth Maul, so I decided to give him number 6 on this list. So now we're getting into the top 5 of my personal favorite heroes, from the worst all the way up to the best. So on number 5 on this list, I decided to give it to Luke Skywalker. Me personally, and how my playstyle is, Luke is probably my favorite hero in this game to play as. He's quick, he's agile, his abilities really pair up well with each other, whereas I can go into an opponent, I can use repulse. If I don't kill them, then I can just probably finish off with maybe like a dash strike or maybe a push, depending on like what the situation is. Especially in a lot of game modes like Heroes vs Villains and maybe in Galactic Assault as well. For me personally, I love dueling in this game. I love to go up against other saber wielders. I love testing my own ability like in 2v1s and maybe 3v1s or even 4v1s, depending on, you know, Heroes vs Villains, if other enemies are coming after me. I think even if you're a new player as well and you come to this game, you will find Luke to be really fun to play and really easy to learn as well. Like his abilities, like I mentioned, they do pair with each other really well, and also they do have a very high chance of working as well. Compared to a lot of saber wielders in the game as well, some of their abilities they glitch out, but most times Luke's abilities they do work, so you will actually have some fun with Luke Skywalker. So number 5 on this list. Number 4 on this list, I decided to give it to the Senate himself, Palpatine. Palpatine, he's a very strong character. And as we're getting to the top 3 right now, I thought deservedly he deserves number 4 on this list. Palpatine, his abilities, they really pair well with each other, similar to Luke as well. And in general, he's a very, very strong character. He kind of fits the role of like a glass cannon to the point where he does high damage, but he doesn't necessarily take damage very well. So on the offensive, Palpatine is really, really good. But on the defensive, not as strong as some of the other characters in this game, because he doesn't really have like that much of a defensive pool really. But his abilities, you can go into a room with Palpatine and you can actually wipe out the entire room with Palpatine. His abilities are so strong, and his electrocute ability is really good, and his chain lightning as well, really good. Palpatine, deservedly I think number 4 on this list. He is literally one of the best heroes in this game. Palpatine is really strong. So number 4 on this list is the Senate himself. Now number 3 on this list, I decided to give it to the chosen one himself, Anakin Skywalker. Anakin, he's a very strong character in this game. When his abilities actually decide to work, you can literally, in most cases, maybe one-shot an entire room, especially his heroic might ability. His pull ability, really good, especially if you are trying to get enemies that are trying to run away from you. Then you can just probably follow up with Passionate Strike as well. Anakin is the only player in this game that actually has a fort ability, and his fort ability is really good. Retribution is an ability where when it charges up and you're actually able to use it, you become literally invincible while this ability is actually going on. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you can literally go in, use your pull ability, then go in with heroic might, follow up with maybe a couple saber swings, and then use your Passionate Strike, and then use Retribution. Anakin abilities, they have this loop effect to them, and this is why Anakin is really strong. He is annoying to come up against, especially if you're a saber character, but I think Anakin isn't the strongest in this game. You might agree with me, you might disagree with me, but at the same time, Anakin is a very strong character and a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield, whether it's heroes versus villains, or galactic assault, or even supremacy. So taking number 3 on this list, General Skywalker. Taking that number 2 spot on my list, I decided to give it to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren is arguably my second most favorite character to play in this game, just losing out to Luke. I think Kylo Ren's abilities all work very well with each other. You can freeze an enemy and then your teammates can also shoot him. You can pull an enemy as well and follow with your middle ability, or just let your teammates shoot as well. Kylo Ren, he has so many abilities in his arsenal that are very supportive as well. Regardless of what game mode you're playing, whether it's heroes versus villains, galactic assault or anything, Kylo Ren, he will dominate. His damage output is very good as well, and there are star cards that actually amputate his damage when he uses his middle ability. I find Kylo Ren to be extremely strong in this game, and I think new players in particular, especially if you just pick up the game and maybe your favorite character is Kylo Ren, you will realize that when his abilities are being activated, especially when you're in close range of them actually working to your opponents, you will find that not only is he very offensive, but he can be very supportive as well, because like I mentioned earlier, you can freeze an enemy and you can just let your teammates actually shoot that enemy, therefore resulting in like an assist or even a kill if you just want to finish it up. But taking number 2 on this list is Kylo Ren, and we're closing in on that number 1 spot right now. The Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader himself, takes a number 1 spot on my list. I think Darth Vader is the best character in this game. 22 heroes in this game, and I think Darth Vader literally outclasses all of them. Whether you're a new player or you're an experienced player, because Vader is so tanky and the way that he is built, you can literally hold your own in so many fights, whether you're going up against saber wielders or you're going up against blaster wielders. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, Vader is literally so beastly in this game, and arguably he is the best. I definitely do think Vader is the best character in this game. His abilities, they just pair up so well with each other, and everyone knows the chokehold into the saber throw combo, arguably Vader's best combo in this game. So there you have it, guys. This is my personal opinion of the top characters in the game. Some of you guys may disagree and some of you might agree, and that's perfectly fine. Feel free to leave your personal opinion in the comments below, guys. If you are new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button, do leave a like on the video as well, as it's greatly appreciated. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this series, and I hope that I want to hear you guys' personal opinions as well as to who you guys think deserves the number 1 spot, number 2, number 5 or anything like that. So thank you for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.